So in our business, we are part of the criminal justice system, which is a big system. It includes prosecutors, judges, the Department of Corrections, and most logically, law enforcement. We have a lot of partners in this business, and we often are at odds with each other just because we have different intersections in people's lives, and we question each other's judgment all of the time. And there's a natural tension in this system that you'll pick up on more and more. One of the things that I've always insisted that we do in the Department of Corrections is we look at our partners and how they're doing our business, how they're doing their business. We do it with some respect and admiration for what they do. I've never been a police officer, but I'll tell you what, I respect anybody that's going to tow a car over 2 o'clock in the morning on a dark night all by myself. I think that anybody who goes through that process would deserve a level of respect. And one of the people who really emerges as a leader in law enforcement, particularly in Vermont, but even nationally, is the Chief of Police in Winooski, Chief of Police. Steve and I have worked a lot on projects of interest between the Department of Corrections, reentry, and so when we're reentering an offender back into the community, often it's law enforcement that's called upon when somebody who's under our care and custody to do something that's not okay. And so when probation and parole staff go out and doing checks and something's up, they immediately call law enforcement. And most of our law enforcement partners in Vermont are really above standard, but the Chief of Police in Winooski, in my mind, is the best of the best. And the department runs the best of the best. And so it's my honor to have Steve here. Please, when he agreed to talk at our graduation, we try to cross-pollinate law enforcement and corrections to the same thing. That's much more Chief of Police.
Thank you very much for inviting me here, and what the commissioner said is extremely true. I mean, it's been my honor to work with him and his staff, and a lot of people in the Department of Corrections for a long time. I've been in this business in Vermont for 32 years, and I'm looking out into the audience behind me, some of your fellow officers, and I recognize a few faces. And I actually want to acknowledge one, because I think this really goes to the partnership between the police and corrections. Greg Hale's sitting back there, and he's the superintendent currently in Chittenden. I know he's moving around. We're going to miss him. He is a part of the Chittenden County Law Enforcement Executives Committee. He comes to our meetings. He is a part of our family, part of the team. We work very closely together to make sure that we're dealing with all of public safety. And I just want to put that out there before I kind of get into my theme of my presentation, is that there are several folks out in the audience right now that, talk to them, learn their experiences and what got them to where they are today, because they started where you are. A long time ago in some cases, okay?
Long time ago.
Long time ago. But I think it's really important to emphasize that whoever the superintendent of the facility in Chittenden County is, they are part of the Law Enforcement Executives Committee for Chittenden County. We meet regularly, and it's very important to me, and I think it's important to the commissioner that we continue to do that. So part of what I'm here to try to speak about is the relationship that we all have, but also the different responsibilities that we have within the system. For a lot of us and outside, because you guys are going to be inside, and my hat goes off to you. The commissioner makes some comment about stopping a car on the side of the road in the middle of the night, but you know something? I can turn around and get away from that very quickly if I have to. You can't. If you are inside a facility, you have to deal with people at all different shapes and sizes, and they're there for a variety of different reasons. And that's one of the things that I want to at least highlight, is that unlike a lot of states, the Vermont Department of Corrections is a single entity. You will be dealing with people who don't particularly like their lot in life. Given an opportunity, they will change. It's really up to us now in the system as professionals to give them that opportunity, to provide them with the opportunity to make a change in their lives so they can be successful and productive members of our community. But you're also going to be dealing with people that maybe only 20% as a whole, but they are truly contained and controlled. They're dangerous. You need to make sure that we are safe from them. The problem for us, and the problem particularly for you, is that you're in a facility that could very well house the people who don't like their lot in life and can change, all the way to contain and control in one place, at the very least in one system. And the challenge is to not to think that everybody that you are dealing with is contained and controlled. That you will touch every individual. It could be a positive way or a negative way. And if you remember that there are certain individuals that are in our system that are going to be in your facility that, given an opportunity, can and will change. And I don't want anybody, and I tell the same thing to my officers, do not get caught up in this whole, they're all bad guys. They all belong in jail, and I don't care. Because when you start doing that, and people will fail. And we know in Vermont, one, we like to do things a little differently, because we do care about people. 32 plus years ago, when I got into this business, one of the things that struck me when I was in college, and I went to London State College, I was on the rescue squad. And I came from, even though my family's from Vermont, got a lot of roots here, I grew up outside New York City. And in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, what type of policing do you think I observed on the news and everywhere else in New York City at that time? It wasn't a lot of fun to watch. And I never thought I'd ever get in police work. Believe it or not, I was going to law school. Surprise, surprise. I don't know if that was a whole lot better, but one of the things that I discovered when I started working over in St. Johnsbury and the Lindenville area being on rescue is that I got to know the troopers and I got to know the probation officers. The one that I know the best from those days is a Jim Trishane. He was a PO out of St. Joe. Been around for a long time, but I got to know him because he was out in the field. And something really struck me about the officers that I dealt with. They actually liked people. They really did. They enjoyed what they did, they actually liked people, and they enjoyed trying to make a difference in their lives. And the same thing even when I go back thinking 30 plus years ago with Jim. A lot of what he did in trying to help change people's behavior and also provide for a better life, which they just did naturally, is actually part of the fiber of what we all do now. I also think back, I'm looking at all of you in uniform, which is a beautiful thing to me. Back 30 plus years ago, and I would bring somebody down to the facility, back in St. Jay, it was the old Cherry Street, the old county jail. Do you think I could tell what the difference was between the prisoners and the corrections officers then? Couldn't. They were in civilian clothes, they didn't have any training to speak of, it was all on the job. So again, those are the things that have changed over the years. My training, my profession has changed dramatically over 30 years, so has yours. And I want to make sure that you always remember that you are part of the profession, you're part of a whole. What you do has an impact on people. It can either be positive, it can be negative. And all I ask on the outside, and hopefully some of you will be on the outside working with us in the field as well, that you do whatever you can to help those individuals who truly do need an opportunity so they can get it. And that you treat people with the dignity and the respect that we all deserve. And remember that sometimes, yeah, we have to contain and control. Sometimes in my profession, I have to do the covenant stuff. I have to arrest somebody, and I have to bring them to you. But that's just a small piece of what I do, and I have to remember that from time to time. And I just want you to remember that as well, because we are in this together. We want to make sure that when someone is done with you, and they're coming back out, and most of them all come home, that they are ready for reintegration back into our community. And that we will be able to help them be successful. Typical profile, and this is kind of what I end on when you're dealing with the folks in the facility. People that I deal with at 12 and 13 years old, we refer to as throwaways. This is how this all starts. So you got a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, mom and dad, if it's a mom and dad, decide, I can't deal with them anymore. I can't handle this anymore. Get out. So they're 12, 13 years old. They are now couch surfing. They are now stealing to support a habit. And believe it or not, that habit is cigarettes. They're stealing chump change out of cars. They're about 15, 16 years old. Now they're stealing a little bit more because now they're supporting their alcoholism. At about 18 or 19, they've progressed to the point where they're so immersed in this criminal element, now they're stealing to support their cocaine and their heroin habit. They finally did that armed robbery or that burglary that got them sent to you. 19, 20 years old. Give them a couple of years, 23, 24, what happens to them? You gotta get released. We're releasing people in our communities with the social skills of a 13-year-old. How can we possibly expect them to be successful? So while you're dealing with them, finally, when they get to you, after we've kind of failed, essentially, now we have an opportunity to adjust course a little bit. And hopefully, we will connect people up who fit that profile. And in Vermont, that's probably about 80% of the folks you're going to see. That actually give them that opportunity to become successful, to learn the skills that they need so they can get a job. Hopefully they finish their education and you will not see them again. So I just want to kind of leave that thought with you. Do not lose sight of the fact that people, given the opportunity, can become better citizens. And we want to make sure that we do everything we can within our systems to give them that opportunity. So again, I congratulate you, and as president of the Vermont Association of Chiefs of Police, we congratulate you on entering the criminal justice system and the Department of Corrections. So again, good luck. I look forward to seeing you out in the field or in the facility. Every once in a while, I do bring somebody to you. So again, congratulations, and look forward to seeing you out there.
It's now time for the 111th Pass Back Our Guidon, the Academy Guidon. This flag that's up here next to the podium. On day one of an academy, as I go through orientation with the class, I talk to them about the Guidon, about what it represents to the academy, and what it will represent for them. Over the period of week one of an academy, a class is given the task of earning the Guidon. It's not given to them, they have to earn it. And they have to earn it by paying attention to the details. The things that will serve them well in their career in corrections as they learn policies and procedures and rules and regulations and good human relations, that they do all those things during week one, and that's how they earn that Guidon. And then the task of the classes don't ever leave the Guidon behind. It's their pride, their honor, their integrity, their commitment. What this class also considered was their ethics. And they brought that Guidon everywhere that they went during those next 4 weeks. Well, now it's time for the 111th to give it back to the academy. It's 112, it's just around the corner. Officer Elwood. Here we go. Now going to turn the ceremony over the class processional to our Vermont Department of Corrections Honor Guard. If everyone could please rise.
Detail. Hey.